Full house once again. Thank you very much. Some of you have spent quite a bit of time here. Some of you are new. My name is Gleb. I've been hosting this stage for the second day now. Morning, well, to evening. Today I'm going to do something else. I'm going to moderate. Specifically, that means I'm going to ask some questions. I'm going to ask questions from our two lovely panelists that are coming up. One from the Latvian Central Bank, head of, let's say he's an expert in payments tech. The other representing the New York City Bitcoin Center, yes. And he's been, involved in building out the Nordic Association of basically blockchain and all that stuff. Now, his name is Peter. The other one is Deniss, I believe. Now, what I'm going to do differently from all the other moderators, I'm going to involve you very closely. I'm going to be asking you questions. Some of them, raise your hand type of things. Some, I encourage you to ask from us. So it's going to be 30 minutes. At the same time, I don't want us to be like a conversation just between three people. You guys are involved. Now, on this note, I would kindly welcome our two panelists on stage and a warm hand of applause for Peter and Deniss. Please, gentlemen. Now, before we kick this off, if you don't mind me asking, I want to see who the audience is today. How many of you have put any money into either Ripple or Bitcoin or Ether? Hands. Okay, all right. How many of you would be able to explain what the blockchain, well, I'm not going to use D, I'm going to just use blockchain for this. I'm not going to be pedantic. How many would be able to explain what blockchain is to a friend? Could you please raise your hand? Okay, well, this is good. This is good. So you two are going to be hopefully giving us some basic definitions what the heck it is. A little bit, if you don't mind. Now, here's what I know about you two. Little human stuff. You are into animals, both of you. Right. Now, you love penguins, though, and you love dogs. You have a golden retriever, if I'm not mistaken. Now, at the same time, you're kind of you both like blockchain. At the same time, you're approaching from completely different angles. And that's exciting. So, Peter, man.
Well, I want to say I love animals more than Deniss here.
Oh, we're already getting competitive. I see this. Now, what I want to understand, though, is, Peter, I'll start with Peter, and I'll move on to Deniss, if you don't mind. What got you into, what is the first time you saw, cryptocurrencies or crypto as a whole coming up, and, blockchain coming a little after that, but at the same time, when was the first time you encountered it? You've actually seriously started looking at it. When was the moment in time?
Well, for me, it started in 2013. How many here have seen the documentary Banking on Bitcoin on Netflix?
Alrighty.
Okay, good.
Alrighty.
So in this movie, there is a lot of feature of our New York City Bitcoin Center, which was the first physical exchange right next to the New York City Stock Exchange, a 60,000 square feet space where we took and basically facilitated some more high-level activities for Bitcoin and helped reshape the brand. And now today, we're working very hard to solve the biggest problems within blockchain. We're working with the Oracle ecosystem for Ethereum, and we're working on the scalability solutions and other.
What are your top three right now, the challenges?
Well, so I would say scalability is one, and I think we're going to see many opportunities and many new techs coming out here in 2018 that can attempt to solve that very well. I mean, our founder, Nick Spanos, is leading one of them. Yeah. So we'll have a very interesting scalability solution coming out in 2018. And we also have the second largest problem is the Oracle problem. So if you want smart contracts, they need data to trigger. So at SAP, we trigger smart contracts with real-world data and real-world events. And then the third one I would say is ease of use. Like we have plateaued in terms of user-friendliness within crypto wallets. And if someone could keep pioneering that and make it even easier to use Bitcoin, I think that would be great.
So scalability, smart contracts, and abuse as in fraud, if I understood correctly.
No, just ease of use in terms of actually using the wallet.
Understood. Now, so give me a year. 2009, 2010, when did you first encounter it?
So Nick Spanos called me in 2013 and said, now it's time to get in because we're building the center, and I thought that was excellent. I've always admired him. So when he calls and say, this is it, with such a conviction, it's hard not to get the memo.
Understood. Now let's move on to Deniss. Deniss, was the first time you heard crypto? Well, more than blockchain, man.
It's a surprise for me, but we actually joined at the same time because it was in 2013 as well when crypto was falling within the focus of competent authorities, ECB and EBA, and there came a warning, and we supported our competent authority with our own warning on risks arising from Bitcoin usage. Well, I come from payments, so I'm more focused on PSD2, if you know what is it. So it's Payment Service Directive and new opportunities to fintechs, actually. And crypto and blockchain is like a hobby, because usually I have time for it only after my working hours. So spend crypto nights or crypto weekends.
Oh,
well,
that's a confession right there.
I would say I was watching your interviews this morning, so I'm ready to take this challenge. And the most interesting thing was that Evgeny Kazanin, who was interviewing you, we were in one panel 2 years ago, and he was representing Twino, and he was ready to disrupt banking. And now what I can see, he has joined Luminor. And fintechs cooperate, actually. So they are going together to make digital transformation together. And therefore, I felt, to be honest, confused this morning watching you, because I hope that I'm most open guy in whole Baltic central bank of all three central banks, because I'm open to be here. I'm ready to be here. I'm ready to take your challenge. I'm ready to discuss all these things. And the second point I would like to make, I'm actually making a great job for you, because actually you are focusing now, or you were focusing during your interview. I would be happy if it's 1% of our citizens, but actually I do take care about other 99, because I organize seminars, I'm in media, I'm in TV, I'm writing articles in order to explain people what is the hype about. And sometimes I'm quite critical, but nevertheless, so people start to understand what Bitcoin is about, what blockchain is about, what are the opportunities of those technologies.
Speaking of this before, Peter, you have an answer. I'm sure you do.
To which one? I thought that was a lot. That was a tall order, but
there was
maybe you want to highlight a few things I should address.
I'm about to, guys.
My point was, well, it smells like a cannibalism. So I'm trying to help you.
Okay.
Don't eat me. Okay. Don't kill me.
Somebody's
you
tweeting cannibalism.
Blood,
Hashtag cannibalism, guys. But before that, though, I would like to clarify for the layman audience, and please, two experts, and I'm also representative of this. What's the difference between the blockchain, what the heck is it? A little bit. Give me in a nutshell. I've been reading a book on this, and I still having a hard time at this.
Well, it is incredibly complex, so it does take a long time. I mean, when Nick called me, he said, study for 3 months and then get back to me. And if you ever worked with New Yorkers, you know when you're getting 3 months to do something, it's because it's pretty complex. So
try us.
If you take Bitcoin, it puts together state-of-the-art principles of mathematics, computer science, cryptography.
Yeah.
So it is complex. And that's okay. That's also partly the problem, and that's why we have so many scams and so much hype, is because people cannot really bust it because they don't have the technical expertise. But if you really look into it, I find that when people say, oh, we love blockchain, but we're not so much into cryptocurrency, that's like saying, oh, I love AI, but I'm not so much into robotics and machines. I mean, at the end of the day, it's an immutable ledger, and that's incredible. And I think it's amazing we're sitting here in an old palace, which used to be a former pinnacle of centralized planning, centralized economics, centralized political decision, and dictations of how people should lead their lives. And I think what we have seen in history is that when you give more authority to the people, when you believe in people, when you emancipate populations, it yields good returns, and you can see that the market works. And I think over the long run, the market will show who's the real winner.
Okay, quick reality check. How many of you became a little smarter about what the blockchain is? Could you please raise your hands? People who got a little smarter. All right. Okay, fair enough, fair enough, fair enough. It was a good attempt, good attempt. We'll get into this. Now, you're representing 99%. You're positioning he's representing 1%. I don't know about it, but at the same time, I want to see that. So emancipating, giving the rights, giving the possibility, giving the financial freedom in a way. Centralized system, central bank versus decentralized system in a way, if I may position this. Now, Deniss, do you have a response?
Definitely.
Let's do it.
Well, so you mentioned in the morning that you have studied politics, so now I see that probably you were excellent in that. I do not think that your Trump style is the best way to tell people what...
I haven't even started tweeting yet.
Yeah, well...
Gentlemen, let's play civil. Let's play civil.
I will try not to go in details. Well, sometimes I ask people why they invest in Bitcoin, why they try to buy Bitcoins. And quite usual answer is, well, there is a great technology behind, or it has a new, unique, or probably perfect monetary system. Well, guys, telling your words, actually, it doesn't matter what technology is behind the bullshit. It doesn't make it a candy. Therefore, I'm trying to tell you, well, there is a Bitcoin, there is a crypto, there is a blockchain actually, but it doesn't solve the problem. You are saying that it may solve, definitely, it has a great potential, but at the moment you want to change something that is imperfect with something really crazy, in my opinion.
Oh, that's a good sentence. Somebody tweet some of this, please. All right, Peter, you know what to go for?
Well, I mean, I don't even know where to begin. I mean, if you look at the facts, you see that if you take the world's aggregated foreign aid, you times it with 5, you have the amount of value that is being sent home to emerging economies from hardworking people in the West who want to feed their families and loved ones. And instead of getting ripped 10% on their transactions, they can now just send crypto for almost no money. And you can be for Bitcoin, you can be against Bitcoin. You can say that it's the future, it's the best. You can say it's the worst, it's Armageddon. But one thing you cannot deny is that it works. And one thing you cannot deny is that the technical specifications are so secure that after 10 years, it has not been hacked. And if you want more facts, leading up to the Mt. Gox hack in the early days, basically we saw there was 100,000 hacking attempts per second. And if you benchmark that against a protocol that's been standing for 10 years, that's unparamount to any banking security system so far in performance and security. And what we're seeing now is that if I want to send $100 million to China, there's no other monetary system in the world, no other financial vehicle that is as effective as Bitcoin. It's going to be there within 10 minutes. It's going to be, right now, less than $10 in fees. And I can be 100% sure it's going to get there. And if I want to shop in the local supermarket, what is it you use here? You use REMI, right? You want to shop in the local REMI, you can use Litecoin. You can use any other currency that is not as pricey. So it works. The system works. And I don't know what's going to happen. I'm not a fortune teller. But one thing I do know is this. And that is it's being adopted more and more every day. It's being refined every day. And it's getting easier and easier to use. And it's getting more and more difficult to answer why we need a bank to facilitate transactions when we have a peer-to-peer cashless system.
Peter, thank you. Before we go to Deniss, you mentioned a 99%. I understand it was like a strong statement at the same time. But I actually want to get an idea. What's the distribution right now from both of you? Your bets, both of you. So how many people, population-wise, are using Bitcoin and all those currencies and all that stuff versus, people cash? Like, what's the distribution between the two right now?
Well, in Latvia, around 70% they use cash.
Right.
So and, only 30 is non-cash.
Right.
Well, if you touched my topic, payments, well, I can say that at the moment, Bitcoin really fails to compete with European instant payments. The central bank has launched instant payment infrastructure last year in August. Since November, it is European-wide. So we are waiting for more banks, and it will become reachable to everybody. The transfer takes in less than a second, actually. And for me, it doesn't cost anything. I pay a monthly fee to my bank, and I make unlimited number of transfers every month. So it doesn't cost me anything. Well, if you look on Bitcoin, well, as I already said, at its current stage, for 10 years, nothing happened. We have new technology. Still, you say that it probably has a potential to make payments better, definitely. But if you compare this area where Bitcoin can improve payments, it's a cross-border, cross-currency transfers where we already have Ripple. Well, we'll see. If we go back, then at the moment it's expensive. So its capacity under the question, and I don't know. And there are still some risks, and therefore. I don't know. I would not agree. You may say that actually there will be Lightning networks. Well, this thing for me looks like you have a wooden house. It was great 10 years ago. Now you have to renew it, and you take some wood parts and you put bricks, and then it looks ugly. It requires different maintenance, and so probably you should build new brick house. Move there. And destroy and demolish this old wooden house. Therefore, I do not believe in Lightning networks, for example.
As much as I like metaphor, Deniss, if I may a little bit, if you can name maybe like top 2 risks, and we can touch points on those. So what are the 2 top risks you, as a representative of the Latvian Central Bank, see when it comes down to cryptocurrencies? It doesn't have to be Ripple, Bitcoin, whatever, or Ether. What do you see?
Yeah, well, but if I may, I would start and again get back to monetary aspects. Well, we have, in general, probably, I guess nobody is a great monetary expert here, but we have 3 aspects. We have money issues, limited, unlimited. We have centralized, decentralized network, and we have central bank, and we have system probably without the central bank.
But where are the risks?
If you touch this current traditional system, well, in order to make it stable, to ensure that for €1 I get $1.2. There is a central bank, and indeed there is a printing machine.
So volatility, that's what you're going for.
Yeah.
All right.
For Bitcoin, well, 3 aspects, and currently, for me, it doesn't look possible to balance all of them 3. To make it stable, to make it still decentralized, we want the money maker or central bank and so on.
What's the risk with decentralization that you see?
Well, then in order to be better, and if you want to improve Bitcoin, you should take a trade-off. What you are ready to sacrifice, either to make it centralized still, maybe to make some kind of money maker, or you will have printing money machine to ensure that its price is more or less stable. But if you get to the risk back, well, I would definitely agree on one particular thing. It's a cyber resilience. Definitely, because in the centralized systems, yeah, we experience focus of the risk on the central counterparty, and that definitely a challenge for us to improve cyber resilience.
So you agree on something. This is very good. Aside from animals, this is good. I like this. Now, Peter, I'm going to go to you. Let's at least address those 2 basic things. Maybe 3, but let's go for it. Yep.
All right, good. Well, let's get the volatility addressed immediately. I was actually looking forward to this one. So Bitcoin is still infant. Let's just acknowledge that. I mean, it's been 10 years. What we have seen, even amongst us in the industry, is incredible. It's beyond anything we could have hoped for. And what we're going to see the next 10 years is going to be that more adoption is going to obviously create stability. So in the long run, I believe it's going to be more stable. As of now, there are plenty of solutions that are happy to serve the merchant to de-risk the volatility. I mean, there are a lot of merchant solutions out there that converts into fiat money immediately, so the merchant doesn't even feel that he's taking crypto. And that's what we have right now that will be a temporary solution to the volatility challenge. Over the long run, stability will come, and I'm looking forward to that. I think it's incredible that I hear you sitting here using history and stability as an argument. I mean, Bitcoin came after the 28 crisis. And what we're seeing before that is that we left the gold standard in 73. Like for centuries, and maybe you can help me understand this, I would love to learn. Like for centuries, we have used gold as a medium of transactions because it's scarce, divisible, it's impossible to falsify because it's a noble metal. It's easy to store excess production. And it's worked always. And then we left the gold standard. So in some way, I would say that the present financial monetary system is more of an experiment than Bitcoin. Bitcoin is more old school in the way of transactions because you have replaced gold with math. And it's an honest system. You cannot fraud anyone.
Gentlemen, before
and also for the security, like, I mean, I would like to see any bank who has the level of security that is equivalent to the SHA-256 hash function.
Before we address to the retort, you'll have some time. I'd like to engage our audience, as I promised, if you guys don't mind. Otherwise, it's interesting to listen to you to go for it, but let's engage the audience a little bit. I will take, all right, we have one question.
Well, I think he deserves a chance to speak.
If you may, we'll come back to it. Sure. We'll come back to it. So I would like to engage that. Please keep a note. Let's do it. At least take one question. Please throw the, right, yes, this lady right there.
Hi. Could you comment on the rumors that cryptocurrencies, or Bitcoin specifically, or cryptocurrency is going to be banned in Asia? And what kind of impact does it make on the trust in that kind of currency? And what does it really mean? Why it's happening?
It's a good one.
Well, I think that's a terrible tragedy for the citizens that could have better lives because of that technology there. So I think maybe they should elect some other politicians.
All right.
Okay. If I may.
Please, please.
Yes. Well, please. Not really to compliment, sorry. Well, if you take it philosophically, currently it's all about greed, actually. I guess we have the same dream to make an ideal world. But in my opinion, we should start with ideal people. If it's about greed and making money, then actually it makes it like a bubble, and bubbles burst. I wanted to take an example of this week. Well, Bitcoin was falling down 25% in 2 days. Well, it's again question to you and volatility aspect. Whether you want to receive your salary on Sunday and it will be only 2/3 on Wednesday, would you be happy? I don't think so. But if you get back and look on Wednesday, well, U.S. Senate said, we are not going to ban Bitcoin. We are going to regulate it. And it was 10% up. People, you are looking for decentralization, deregulation, and you are happy and you are 10% up with the statement that we are going to regulate and make money on you. That's, for me, it looks that problem is not in Bitcoin as such or technology. Problem is in people in the crowd, actually.
If I may bring it back to the gold standard a little bit, so would address that. So you felt volatility aspect was not fully addressed here. At the same time, you were very much about empowerment, very much going after, well, you know, let's look at the traditional system. The traditional system had its flaws and still has its flaws, including cybersecurity. This seemingly is one thing you both agree on. So what I would love to see is come back. What is your response to the historical challenge that Peter is kind of giving you?
Well, my response would be rather short, and I would refer to the statement I made before. Well, current situation is not perfect, in my opinion, but still you are inviting to test something even probably more risky, not mature enough, and nevertheless, I think it definitely looks like this digital transformation I have mentioned before, that it will bring some benefits. It will definitely change the world. I don't think so that we will have Bitcoin as a widely used currency, but maybe it's time to demolish the old house and create new one.
So how are you guys doing it right now? Is there something, an alternative you're working on?
Yeah, I understand what you mean about. Yeah.
What are you guys doing? Because they're offering a solution.
Starting the January last year, so everybody understands that central banks are working on this particular issue.
What issue?
Because the board member of European Central Bank gave a quite detailed speech on how could the digital-based money look like.
Oh.
That means that, yes, we have such a topic on our central bankers' agenda. We'll see. Therefore, I'm saying that actually cryptocurrencies...
I'm going to push you on that a little bit. What are you guys working on? Come on.
Well, at the moment, still, we do not
Dennis,
see...
I hope we can agree the last thing the world needs is another crypto.
Come on, show us a little bit. Are we going to see what? A crypto euro?
Hopefully not.
What is going to happen now?
Well,
This
this could be one of the scenarios. If crypto, some kind of like a Bitcoin, reach a critical mass, probably the central bankers will have such a scenario in their pockets to come with crypto euro.
Oh.
You should not exclude that.
Peter, your response to that? I know you just said it like, better not a crypto, but you just heard it from the horse's mouth.
Well, I think at our company, at our Bitcoin center, we get a lot of applications and a lot of business models that people want to build different cryptos.
Yeah.
And I think one of the basic sanity checks we always ask is, what's the invention here? What's the thing?
Intrinsic value?
Yeah, well, what's the utility that it brings to the table? What's the innovation? What's the pioneering here?
Yeah.
And if they're not bringing anything else but just another crypto, we actually send them home and say, sorry, revise your business model, please.
That's a good approach.
That's a good approach,
Definitely.
for sure.
Because crypto should develop. We just discussed that actually Bitcoin has some problems. So it's not mature enough or it's too old already, but we need to go for something new.
Okay, let's do a quick poll in terms of crypto euros potential.
We do actually, we're building an accelerator program. We'll love to have the European Central Bank as a startup. we'll coach you guys through, and maybe you can come up with some original.
This is an excellent opportunity to poll. Let's do basic market validation. How many of you would be interested in a crypto euro? Hands up. All right, how many of you
would... this guy beer.
All right, how many of you would be strongly against it? Please raise your hand. Strongly against it. Okay, well, so far...
Unless it has utility. I mean, if the European Central Bank would innovate and bring up some new amazing ideas to the table, then by all means, that would be amazing.
Okay, come on. What are you thinking? What could they, in their position, because they're under more regulation, he's right. They have a larger populace to cater to for now. They're the official, body. So if you would be in this chair, what are the ideas you would go after, or at least pursue? It doesn't have to be really super duper specific, but come on, man. Let's do some empathy. Let's do some perspective.
All right, okay.
Okay, I'll give you a moment. You ready?
All right, Deniss. So I think what we need is to really talk about technology. I mean, we need to talk about what are the things that really is innovative. Because, like I said, the last thing we need is just another crypto, and I can't really see that national governments or even supernatural governments would basically add anything by just building another currency. I mean, right now we have the world's brightest minds within programming working on Bitcoin and their scalability challenges. So I think Bitcoin would be the best thing to focus on. And I mean, if we can have Bitcoin being adopted all over the EU, then that would be incredible.
Yeah. What is your take, man?
Very brief reaction to that one. Well, for central bankers, it's definitely not about technology as a first step. It's to answer the question probably asked by general public, why? And 99% actually don't care. Is it e-money or is it crypto euro and something else? They want to have normal stable money and good mean of payment. Well, and therefore I would say that we should start with monetary aspects because we are central bankers. We make a monetary policy. Then we should take some other aspects like payments, and then only we can go to technology and understand, do we need a blockchain DLT behind or something else?
Right, I'm sensing that I wish you would have more time. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take at least 2 questions from the audience. One, and the second one will be right there. Oh, one of our panelists the day before who's in the field. Sir, let's do it. Please, couldn't have the box. Are you a good catcher? So Fred, I think you were involved in animal markets at some point, if I'm not mistaken.
At some point.
At some point. So you're in the industry.
Well, I've been in the fintech industry for about 14 years.
Excellent. Shoot, man.
Yeah. The question is simple. Should cryptocurrencies be regulated, and why? To both.
Okay, let's do it.
I mean, I think that's such a broad thing. I mean, should it be regulated? I mean, what regulations are we talking about? I mean, do you want to...
Well,
Taxes.
you tell me.
Well, for instance, taxes. This is
No. Should it be regulated? Do you want regulation? Are you pro-regulation? Are you against? And why? And to which extent should it be regulated if it should be regulated?
Look, I think that it's important to note that where you stand in the whole regulatory debate depends on your political and ethical perspective. I mean, some people can't get enough regulation, they can't get enough central planning, they can't get enough of all that centralization, and other people would say we want it completely free, there could be no regulation, that's good.
What's your opinion?
Let's not pigeonhole him in one answer, but where is your leaning towards? Let's say in that scale that you presented, no, super duper regulation 100%, and no regulation at all, as in libertarian stuff. Where are you in the scale, if I may put it like that?
Well, I generally believe in people, and I generally believe that people are able to figure out amongst themselves how to do things. And I find it hard to see that as of now there's any regulation that has truly helped. And if you look at the facts,
so no
I'm not saying correlation equals causation, but you're seeing that the countries that are regulating a lot, they lose their blockchain talent, and the countries that are deregulating, detaxing their blockchain industries,
is it a hard no? I'm pressing
are attracting the blockchain talent.
Hard no to regulation, soft no. Where are we, man?
I mean, you got to present some concrete ideas before I can give you concrete answers.
Understood. So you're open to the possibility of regulation, but you would not like to do a committal to whether that cryptocurrency should be regulated.
I mean, I think it's interesting when we look at the financial regulation that is so intense.
He's good.
Because everywhere else in society, you're innocent until you're proven guilty. But in the financial market, it's almost the opposite. And like I told on stage this morning, I have this friend who is the most compliant guy in all of Copenhagen. And still, he's like going through some crazy hoops just to be allowed to have an exchange.
I'm going to take the non-answer. I'm going to stop for now. Everybody who wants to ask him about his position, be my guest.
If I'm correct.
We need to take the second question, but like be quick, short answer on regulation.
Wait a second. Now, I want to say
No.
Okay. Come on.
It's not my role to argue what regulation should be there.
Okay.
I think it should be your role to present some regulation to us in the industry.
Okay.
Because why is it regulation is not natural born. It's not something that's in nature. It's something human beings invent because they believe it's going to help something.
Okay, that's closer to an answer.
It's up to you to present something to me and not the other way around.
I'm not a central banker, but
sorry, go.
Let's stick to the central banker.
Perfect in your politics
Deniss,
course.
Short and sweet.
Central bank in Latvia is not a regulator, so we have separate authority here. And the second question, is its current nature being a digital value or asset? Probably we should care about customer protection, investor protection, and it should be probably taken as an asset
class.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take the next question from a professional. All right, please, sir. Whoop. Teamwork, very good. Please introduce yourself once again.
Can you hear me? Yeah, my name is Alex Perspective. I'm working for the company calling Iconic. And
my
question to Deniss. We got experience. I personally worked with central bankers in Russia, in Armenia, where we established the blockchain ecosystem. And well, technically our job was like a psychotherapist. We tell them everything gonna be fine, everything gonna be okay. So if you have any questions, everything gonna be perfect. So my question to you is, what your fears, like a guy from the central bank, about what cryptocurrency could make, I mean, in terms of bad decisions, and what, let's say, your answer to them. So, because the main question from central bankers was, we're afraid, and if we make mistakes, it's going to rush everything.
A moment. Quick summary of the question. It was a long question. Just so the question.
No, what's your fears here?
You got it?
I'm fine.
You got it. Let's do it.
Yeah. Well, as I have already mentioned, we are not regulators. I'm a facilitator. I'm trying to get you guys, bankers, and everybody who is interested to develop the technology. Well, no fear for me. I'm ready, I'm open, but nevertheless, I have 99% of population whom I should explain the risks arising from crypto.
Understood. Fair enough. As I really want to continue this. I'm seeing a large group of people. Unfortunately, we're tied with the schedule. So here's what I'm encourage you to do, is approach these two gentlemen and ask them stuff, because they know a lot. Now, if you have a final note that you'd like to give the audience, both of you, what would it be?
Sure. I mean, elaborating on the point I was making before, I mean, the countries that are really opening up their attitudes and their frameworks for crypto, they're seeing amazing returns. The GDP of Japan is now an extra 0.3%.
Yeah.
Because it's 0.3%.
Okay.
And
That'll be
that's because
pretty
of
good,
crypto.
pretty good.
And I mean, if that's 0.03% of Japan, I mean, what would that be in Latvia? Like 110%. But
okay, apples and oranges statistically. Apples and oranges.
But I mean, it's like there's so much value to be captured from this. And I think you have to decide whether you want to be helping bring cryptos and blockchain mines to your country, or whether you want to make it more difficult, and whether you want to have a bad attitude about it. I mean, it's really going to go down like probably 10, 20 years from now. You'll see the severe impact of that.
All right, Deniss,
it's a definitely valid point because a country wants to make new money without investing. But you're absolutely right. I do see that actually the way we could both go is to find benefits or find a scenario where both can benefit, and we can just focus on development and make this world better.
At least they agreed on something. Very good. Hands of applause for you, fine gentlemen. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very